Hello and welcome to another episode of the JRE Review. And today I'm reviewing podcast 1239 with Travis Barker. It was a fantastic conversation and I love the whole podcast and I can't wait to talk about it. I got my buddy here, Jay. Say what's up, Jay.
Glad to be here. How we doing, guys?
Yeah, and he's a big fan of Travis Barker and Blink-182 from back in the day. I mean, really, who isn't, though? And, listen to the podcast, and it's good to have a fan on. So, without further ado, let's start this review. Welcome to the Joeroganexperiencereview, where each week I review every single episode of the Joe Rogan Experience. What more do you want? So we all know Blink-182, and we all remember their songs. I mean, so many legendary tracks. Fantastic. And some of those albums.
Girl at the Rock Show.
Yeah, unbelievable. And so hilarious, too. Their music videos are really some of the best. Those guys had a ton of fun, for sure.
Dude, that album cover of the nurse with the...
hot.
So hot.
Yeah, like, you know that was a porn star?
Idolized that.
Straight up, that's a porn star.
No, it's not.
She was, yeah.
Really?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, look, Google it. But I'm like, I put money on it. I'm pretty sure.
Where's Jamie? Jamie. Jamie.
We can't afford it, Jamie. We can't afford anything.
One day.
But, and it's so fantastic. And then his life since then. So, the Blink-182, obviously, that's a long time ago, when they were at their peak. And band members have moved on. They've done different projects. And... you know, Travis has had some real crazy incidents in his life. Not just multiple marriages, but about 10 plus years ago, got in an incredibly awful plane crash.
I don't remember that even being on the news. Like,
I remember it.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was so brutal. Because they were saying that people on it died. They showed the plane messed up real bad.
Yeah.
He had, jumped out of the plane, got burnt, which he talks a little bit about on this podcast with Joe.
Yeah.
And I remember it being pretty brutal. People thought, oh, he's not going to make it out of this. And, burns are kind of like that.
He said 75% of his body, he had skin grafts on. 75%. That is insane.
That's unbelievable. He was in kind of a bubble too. People can come see him, right, because of the infections.
Yeah. Spitting up fusel,
jet
fuel 3 months after it.
Oh my god!
How is that possible? I don't understand.
Probably just how ridiculously volatile that fuel is.
Ugh.
So nasty.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
I complain the day after hangovers.
Yeah, right.
Oh my god.
Well, he doesn't fly anymore. He does not, and you can't blame him, can you? I mean, I couldn't ever even think of blaming someone that was in that kind of an incident. No. Two of his best friends, both those pilots. I mean, you think just PTSD alone from that.
Well, the crazy thing too was that he couldn't even this just shows how much rock stars just fucking party and Are we allowed to curse on this, by the way?
Yeah, you've done it.
Okay.
Too late.
All right, cool. We're in it. So how much he partied and he would start socking the doctor during
the surgery.
He can wake up during anesthesia. That is crazy. I don't understand how that's physically.
Well, he was having so many surgeries for the burns, and because of his high tolerance from a lot of different drugs, he was saying that he would wake up and somehow be in a dream state and start swinging at doctors, awake during a surgery. How hellish of a nightmare must that be?
But you're a chemistry background, doesn't that... It's a different drug, isn't it? Anesthesia to whatever.
Well, they use a cocktail of things like propanol and all these different types of cocktails.
Yeah.
So, but it's all based on tolerance level, kinda. So it's weight and height. Yeah. A grizzly bear would obviously have X amount more than a human would have, right? So in ratio basis.
Yeah.
So I think what can happen, unless you have a resistance completely to certain anesthetic drugs, which is fairly rare, probably what's happening is his tolerance is 1.5 of regular person, so it just ran out. It's this is supposed to keep you under for 3 hours, it keeps him for an hour and a half, and
then he's swinging.
And,
he's Mike Tyson.
It's hard for them to gauge it and be like, oh, well, maybe we need to give him more of this, because that's when shit starts to get fatal as well. So just liability issue. When you're kicking a celebrity of Travis Barker's, fame out of your hospital when you've been helping fix him from a horrendously bad crash, and that could be a ton of really positive press for you, and you're just like, this whole deal is a problem.
This guy is not worth it.
This guy's got strong arms.
Yeah. He is a drummer.
Yeah.
He is a drummer.
I found it really fascinating when he was talking about the anytime he does his concerts, right? So he's drumming away, and he's a ferocious drummer and very, very talented. Awesome. Yeah. His Instagram alone, if you guys don't follow him, I'd say start, because it's really impressive. Yeah. Just him collaborating with people and drumming like a ninja. I mean, it's really unbelievable. Yeah. Yeah. But you don't think of a rock star as like, this is a set in the sense of like a timed, really energetic like activity. He almost described it as being like a UFC fight. Like, oh, this song lasts 5 minutes, so I need to pace myself at this point and do this, and then wait a bit more, because this whole show is like 2 hours of like this repetitive energy movement.
Yeah, he said he would take like a song. He like knew that he was going to take a song easy, because the next song, he's going to ramp up and really do like a solo or something. Like, I never even thought about that. Like from a like being in from an
idiot's point of view.
Exactly. Yeah.
You just don't think of those things. That's why it's so great to have these brilliant people on, and then they can talk about their process, and you're just like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy. Now you think about it, they probably even space the songs out to some degree, so that he's not just like blowing his arms off.
Yeah, for sure.
3 fast ones in a row, which kind of is tough, because all of their songs are fast as hell.
Crazy, yeah.
I mean, that guy has just been just plowing him down.
Well, the one concert that I went to, like back when I was like 16, he literally, one of the songs, he must have been strapped in. He got upside down. And he started, like, they lifted him all the way up, and they rotate him. And he was drumming as he's upside down, and he's still going. Like, it was the most wild thing I have ever seen in my life. And, I mean, you had to think, like, he was taking the song before that off. Like, oh my God, I'm about to go upside down.
Yeah.
I
don't even get how that works.
It was
How
wild.
did they do it?
He couldn't have been.
So he's strapped into everything.
Yes, he must have been.
And the whole drum set is strapped down.
All of a sudden he started rising, and I mean, we're like 14-year-old, like high off of like shitty weed, drunk off of like 3 beers,
stolen alcohol from your parents' liquor cabinet.
Yeah, exactly. Like we had like fucking, Stella, like that was our first beer or whatever.
Right.
We had just stolen this shitty weed, and like he starts rising up. We're like, oh, that's pretty cool, yeah. And then all of a sudden he just starts rotating. We're like, what in the hell? And he goes all the way down and all the way back up, and he does it like 3 times. And
Holy
we were like,
shit, playing the whole time.
The whole time,
dude. That's wild.
It was insane. And it was a solo for him, too. So it was literally just like him going at it. Like all the other guys were just like taking it easy.
That's freaking crazy. How do they even come up with that stuff?
I have no idea. And that was so interesting, too, when he was talking about how they couldn't have like fire because he was so like afraid of it post
the crash. That would make sense.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, come on. What are you doing with pyrotechnics in your rock? Just go to fancy lights.
Yeah. You're not Def Leppard.
What's going on? I know. What are we doing blowing stuff up on the stage these days? Just get to the good music and use some new technology.
Oh, God.
What did you think of... So Travis Barker talks a lot about being a vegan on this podcast. So he's a devout vegan, right? And owns some restaurants. And he has this guy that works in a restaurant that took a vow of silence for 20 years. What did you think of that when you heard that? Like, Joe was shocked. It was like, that is blowing my mind. That is still blowing my mind.
This might be a hot take here. I had the image of this guy has to go home and just start talking to himself. Start talking to the wall. I don't believe it.
Yeah,
I don't believe it. I think he is full of shit.
He's a liar.
I think this guy is full of shit.
Yeah.
I think he opens his door, shuts it at night and sits there and talks to the fucking wall.
Yeah.
There's no way. 22 years? You would go insane.
I think so. So you have your internal voice, right? You know, and that's a lot of times how we kind of talk to ourselves, unless we're getting a bit crazy. So maybe he just holds that internal, but I feel like you'd test it every now and again. You would. You'd be in like a quiet area and you'd be like, hey.
Hey. This is what this sounds like.
And then just
what's that?
Cough for a bit and
fuck shit.
Only does cuss words.
Yeah, only cuss words. Yeah, because it like I mean when you cuss, it has like a
different trigger in the brain.
Right? So to him, somebody that hasn't talked in 22 years, hypothetically, like that would probably like sound like that would feel like the most incredible feeling to just like curse for the first time in like 15 years.
Yeah, for sure. Getting it all out. Yeah. I wonder if you like forget how to talk. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like if your brain is just not using that part, like it thinks, but now it's not taking any message to your vocal cords and you're not making your lips aren't moving and it's, you know, if it's just like, now I forgot. And you're just like, you just come back and it's just a mess.
Did you think he was cheating though?
What do you mean?
Remember Travis talks about him like talking.
Oh, he was lip syncing.
He was like lipping it and he could sort of like hear. Is that cheating?
I don't know if he was whispering though. Maybe he was just lipping it. Yeah. But I mean, you've got to communicate somehow. I just feel like, listen, look, you're obviously making a stand and it's obviously good, you know, for your like whatever mental thing you're going through, like it's your therapy. But really all you're doing is massively slowing down and then you're lipping it anyway. You're still trying to communicate just really poorly. I mean, come on.
22 years of therapy, though?
I mean, either choose to communicate or not.
Yeah, like...
You know, if you're going to half-ass it and then write it down, you'd be on the fence.
Yeah, he writes it down, too. That's...
Maybe you should just be so in that you're like, I can't communicate with you at all.
In or out?
I don't take questions. I only...
In or out?
Yeah. I don't know. That blew my mind.
That
and
did.
Supposedly he's a really fucking good chef, so... Sweet. At least when he comes over to your table, you know, and lips to you, hey, how was your meal? You can just, you know you're not going to get stuck in a long conversation.
Well, he was saying, was laughing cheating too? Did he say that? Didn't he mention something about he heard him laugh one time?
He has laughed, yeah, but he doesn't really laugh out loud. It just like chuckles. Like
I want to see, like, put him down in front of like a Dave Chappelle, like in his prime comedy special. Yeah, that dude is cracking up. That guy is crying laughing. I don't care who you are.
No, you're
if
right.
You don't even speak English. You're cracking.
You might.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I would love to see that. Like to put this guy's, you know, will.
But I think he can still laugh and have a vow.
Yeah.
You know, he's just laughing. Yeah. That's okay. I mean, he's gonna get the hiccups, right? He's gonna sneeze.
Yeah.
He's probably gonna make a bit of a noise when he jerks off.
Imagine that, like Buddhist monks, like if you sneeze, like they kicked you out or something. Like if that broke, like the vow of silence or something.
They were that strict.
Yeah.
Everyone's like,
no, leave.
They're like pranking each other with pepper. You're like, fuck, I've been doing this for 10 years, man. Come on,
you get
that pepper away from me.
You get a cold and you're done.
Yeah,
you're done.
I don't know what the rules are. Vow of silence. Yeah. I'm sure that if you stub your toe and you're like, oh, fuck, they like you get a mulligan. I think you get a mulligan.
You only get to stub your toe once, though.
Yeah.
It's only 50 years.
Yeah, you can't be like stubbing your toe all the time. They're supposed to be mindful. They should be watching what kind of gold statues they bonk themselves on.
Accept the pain.
That's it. That's true. Yeah. Travis does talk a lot about how he was kind of accepted into the hip-hop community early on. Puff Daddy wanted him in a video because he's like a cool-looking white dude. Yeah. And maybe he thought he could sell some Eminem-style records for him or something. But anyway, they picked Travis. They wanted him in there. And ever since then, he's done collaborations with a lot of different artists. He's presented on the BET Awards, which is a big deal for a white guy, you know, in the sense of like how the African American community sees Travis. He's definitely a cool fucking dude. Yeah. You know? It's pretty impressive. Are you like much into rap music or?
I mean, I like am into like a good rap. I'm like, that's the way I am with like horror movies. You know, like I like good horror movies, but I don't like average horror movies.
Sure,
you know
I'm
what I'm
with you.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
I don't like an average rap song. Like, I feel like I like really good rap, and I really respect like really good hip hop. But like, I don't know. And
have you ever heard him on a track, like collaborating with like? You probably have, but you didn't know it was him. You know what I mean? I bet he's on some good tracks. I should have looked those up before I did this, but I didn't get time to do that.
Well, I always think it's interesting too when like I was watching. There's a documentary on HBO. Did you see Dr. Dre's documentary on HBO?
Yeah.
And he's talking. Well, he's like sitting in his island getaway or whatever, and he's listening to Nirvana, and he's just talking about like how good like Nirvana was. And I remember thinking that was the coolest thing ever. That like Dr. Dre, like the last band I would think that he would listen to is Nirvana. But he's just a music nut. Like, he's just
ABBA.
an addict.
ABBA would be the last band. You'd imagine.
That is very true.
Imagine
like,
Dre.
like
But
Neil
I see,
Diamond or something.
I see where you're going.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I totally respect that. Like, here's this guy, like, who's a hip-hop mogul, and he's listening to Nirvana, and he's talking about how much he respects it.
Yeah,
like,
love
they
it.
just, like...
Well, they get
you're a
inspiration
nut,
from a lot of
everywhere.
different places.
Yeah.
Well, Jay-Z and Chris Martin from Coldplay are really good friends.
Yeah.
And they've done collaborations. And then it is wild. Well, remember, Jay-Z did that album with Linkin Park.
Yeah.
That was actually really fucking good.
Yeah.
And I remember when I heard the idea of it, I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And it was actually just kind of like splicing his other songs. I thought that was brilliant.
What happened to Linkin Park? I haven't heard that.
Well, that main guy killed himself.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, you know the blonde that was always like, and now they walk that crash, or whatever he says.
Yeah,
that was my impression.
I was gonna say,
but at least you know who it is now, right?
Yes, I got.
Butchered it.
I got you.
Oh, you should hear my Adam Levine, or maybe I'll do that
Jesus
impression later. No, we won't. But yeah, that guy was super depressed, I guess, and offed himself.
Jesus.
So I
Did
know.
they split up?
Well, I mean, you're not going far without that. And now the guy.
But like, doesn't like
need
Queen
him.
have like a new singer now? Like, isn't this
Queen? What are you, drunk? No.
Yeah, Queen still tours.
Queen?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but they get like a new guy to like sing for them.
What?
Yeah, it's bullshit, but like the guy's got to make money.
That doesn't. They do like Bohemian Rhapsody and all the get out of here.
Yes, they do.
Nobody goes to those concerts.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'm telling. They wouldn't be doing it if nobody went to it.
Without Eddie.
This is where we need Jamie.
Mercury.
Again.
Eddie
We need
Mercury.
Jamie. Yeah.
Without
Freddie.
him there, Freddie. Sorry.
Yeah, it's
Eddie.
not Queen.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
That would just be beyond retarded.
You're thinking Eddie Money, by the way.
What?
You're thinking Eddie Money, by the way.
I was?
Yeah.
I don't know who that is, so probably not.
Oh God.
Yeah. Who is that?
Eddie Money. He's in 1980s.
Oh no, he certainly wasn't. One interesting thing that they brought up, because obviously Travis is very successful, has worked with all these different collaborations, rappers, different people, had an incredible career. One thing that he was like, wow, I can't, thinking back to all the things I've done, I can't believe that I've been able to do that, meet all those people and everything. And Joe said to him, crazy, right? Doesn't it feel like that wasn't even you?
Yeah.
Like it feels like that was a different life. Yeah. And it's almost like it's all a dream. And I thought that coming from two super successful, famous celebrity people to like be able to connect with that thought.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, well, actually Travis said that he doesn't smoke weed anymore, but no doubt Joe was high as fuck when he said it. Yeah. But it's still one of those weird things. Like it seems like it must be that it gets to a point where it seems like everything you touch turns to gold. Yeah. And then maybe the realism of this life does kind of change a bit. Yeah. Or maybe it wasn't as foo-foo as that. And it was just like a way of expressing how fortunate they feel, that they are. But it was just something that kind of stood out with me. Yeah.
The coolest part, I think he says this a little later on to me, and I've heard a lot of like successful people say this, is they always kind of appreciate that time before they've succeeded. You know, when Travis is talking about how he lived in the beach, like on the beach in Laguna.
Oh, that was a beautiful story.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I love those stories, and all successful people will say this that I've heard is like, I wish I could go back and appreciate like kind of the grind.
Yeah, because you're always thinking about tomorrow.
Yes, exactly.
To really sit back and just enjoy it. It's hard because Because if you are one of the fortunate ones, if you're the top 1% of 100 people, you might make it. Yeah. You can't stop but thinking about the 99 people that won't make it. And the reason that definitely the 1% guy thinks about it the more, so he never gets to appreciate that moment, is because that fear and pain and frustration is the driving force that made him number one. Yeah. Because here's the thing, if you sit chilled long enough and you just like, trust me, I'll get there. You know, you still put in the work, but you just believe it in yourself. There's someone else out there that's doing the same thing, but they're so awfully stressed about wanting to do better that they will put in that extra bit of time. Sure, it's not the best version of a life. And this is a generalization. Maybe this doesn't always happen, but this is why I perceive those stories are always that way. Yeah. You know, they all say, I wish I had just spent more.
Appreciated it.
Yeah.
The rise. I thought it was interesting too.
I think just take a little bit of time to appreciate your moment. Yeah. You know, in a sense, but you've got to kind of keep that fear pushing you along, I think. Yeah. I don't know where the balance is. It's a tough one, but it's definitely a driving force. Yeah. You know, and you hear it from these guys. They're obsessed. Travis is obsessed with music. Joe is obsessed with comedy, and really comedy is what he's doing. But it's that obsession that makes him so good.
They sleep. Well, that's what I thought it was so interesting too when he was talking about. It's not those guys that, you know, have a full-time job and do it once a week, you know, do the comedy thing. Those aren't the guys that succeed.
Never.
Those are the guys that were there 6 days a week, didn't have anything else to fall back on, and were like, I am either going to do this or I'm going to die trying to do this. And those are the guys they said made it.
Well, that resonates with me because I sit there and I think, if I don't think that way and I'm not doing it, I can't make it. Yeah. Because they don't have other examples of other people doing it. You can't be, you know, just a weekend warrior with this stuff. No. You can't be, right? So this is why I think the dialogue of these podcasts really is so important. Yeah. Because when he has a guest on that lines up with kind of where you want to go or how you think. Let's say for you're a writer. You have a guest on who's a writer, you know, and he's talking about how he gets to his success. You want to hear those things from these great people, right? Because almost none of this stuff is luck, right? It's not like these people won the lottery. They weren't just in the right place at the right time. A lot of them are highly skilled, highly focused, highly educated individuals that obsessed. And you know, you look at the things in common with them all. Obsession is up there almost always.
I was going to say
with the best people. Yeah, hard work is there too. Yeah. So if you're not just doing those two things alone, you're fucked. You're not going to make it. Yeah. You can't just be picked to be president for that. You know. So that's what I really got out of this podcast. Because the other thing was saying when Joe said, "Think of all the drummers that you're inspiring now." It's probably a lot. Oh yeah. You know, but there's a lot that are on the fence too that are like, fuck it, I can't do this. I'm going to go get a job at Target warehouse. Yeah. And then he's like, no, just do it. Yeah. Go. Just hearing that is fucking awesome.
Well, I think the one thing that
they're all going to be unemployed.
Disagreed with though was when Joe was like, I wish, you know, people were more like when a kid says, I want to be a drummer. They were more like accepting of that. Like, you should be a drummer. I feel like a kid that like gets deterred by somebody saying you shouldn't be a drummer is not going to be a drummer. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's the fucking kid that's like, oh, you don't think I'll be a drummer? Well, guess what? I'll show you. I'm a fucking drummer. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like those are the guys that make it. It's not like the guys that need to be like, oh no, you got this, man. Like, you can be a drummer. Like, hey there, sport. Like,
well, but you're 100% right. That's the point too. Is like, you know, with comedy, you can't just encourage young kids necessarily to become comics. Mm-hmm. A lot of times we're just picking from really fucked up people that have found a way to be funny. It's almost like if we created a world where parents weren't being shit towards their kids and there wasn't fucked up shit going on when kids are growing up, we might not even be able to make good comics anymore. Yeah. You know, so there is a whole process, and I think being in a rock band and a drummer and all that is like a rebellious thing anyway, and you have to have all the parameters that create that need to rebel along with your music to make it all work, and maybe even write good songs. Right? Because a lot of really good rock songs are not coming from the healthiest mindsets.
No.
They're coming from torment and just a lot of crazy
drugs,
shit.
Alcohol. Yeah. Absolutely.
And along that same depressing line, let's finish with the last bit of the podcast, which Joe talks about an event that happened recently in Colorado where a guy was able to kill a mountain lion with his bare hands on a hike. He strangled a fucking mountain lion to death. Here's the problem with this. It's a badass story. This guy is obviously a world-class ninja. He got bit in the face and choked a mountain lion out. Do you have any idea how badass that is to be able to say to anyone under any conditions? You get in a bit of a scuffle with him and he's just like, look, pal, calm down. I once choked a mountain lion to death. You're like, I'm sorry, sir. I'm apologizing and I'm leaving. Yeah.
Well, does he take, what's his background? He's got to have a background in something.
I don't, they haven't really released a lot more
Muay
information.
Thai?
Joe guessed
not
that
Joe
it was,
Schmo.
Joe guessed that it was jiu-jitsu. I don't know how else you could learn to strangle someone that well. Their necks are fucking massive.
My roommate has a pit bull, as a dog, and when she gets riled up, the pit bull gets riled up. I'm like, holy shit, this thing could kill me if it really got mad at me. Can you imagine a mountain lion?
Well, supposedly...
times that by 3.
No, supposedly this was a smaller one, so it was only around 100 pounds. Okay, but that's still pretty massive.
Yeah,
it's way bigger than a dog.
It's twice the size of a pit bull. At least the pit bull.
Yeah, it's way bigger. I mean, that's bigger than a big wolf. Yeah. And they're just fucking you up, man. They know how to do it. Yeah. I think this was probably just a dumb mountain lion, and this dude was lucky, and he made it work, but still.
That's Darwin right there.
Here's the problem with it, and I want to finish on this, is that, it's like that whole, after 9/11, for example, everyone that was, but they were like, all the people were like, man, if I was ever on a plane, or if I was on that plane, I would have ran up, I would have kicked him in his nuts, I would have stabbed him, I would have, and you're just like, dude, you have no anti-terrorist training. You wouldn't know what to do, but everyone has this fantasy, right? They're like, oh, if a bear attacks me in the woods, I'll spray it and I'll run up a tree, and it's just like, listen, these things are designed to kill. Yeah. And they will kill you way better than you'll ever be able to not get killed by them. Yeah. So, but when people hear a story like this, now everyone's empowered to be like, fuck it, I'll probably choke that thing out too. And it's like, no, you won't. Yeah. You're going to die. Yeah. You're going to die. So yeah, this guy has probably inadvertently got a lot of people killed by mountain lions now in the future.
I think, too, he's going to get a lot of fight requests from people. Like, oh yeah, you beat a mountain lion? Well, guess what? I beat a mountain lion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like you definitely want to say you beat up a guy that strangled a mountain lion to death.
Ipso facto, I beat up a mountain lion.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for him. He's got a hell of a thing ahead of him. But I would say at least get the head on the wall. Yeah. Get that story documented. Get on the news. Maybe get on Rogan's podcast. I'd milk the shit out of a story like that.
PETA would not be happy with
Just
that.
Become a legend of... it was self-defense. It's different, bro.
Yeah, they always find something wrong, though, PETA, I feel like. I don't know if they're a sponsor of your podcast.
No. PETA are not.
They don't frequent this.
No,
this
that's
podcast.
probably best.
Okay.
I'm usually eating a steak while I'm doing one of these. But anyway, the conversation was great. You learned a lot about Travis, what it was like touring, just kind of him as a person. He's a very chill dude. He's super cool. If you're in the LA area, go check out his vegan restaurants. If you like that sort of food, you can go have a very quiet conversation with the man that is taking a vow of silence. But that's it. Thanks for joining me today, Jay.
This was great.
And thanks for downloading, guys.
Yeah.
Peace.
Have a good one.